As immersive as video games are, there's always something to remind you that you're playing a video game, like an out-of-place puzzle, an intrusive heads-up display, or someone saying something really appalling about your mother on voice chat. Look, I'm busy, I'm introducing a video. Also, no she didn't! But there are some games that try to preserve the illusion for as long as possible, introducing in-universe explanations for common game mechanics, thereby trying to preserve the fourth wall against the immersion-breaking sledgehammers of game systems for as long as possible. Here are 7 times games did just that. Enjoy and beware spoilers for the following. Right, now that's over. Listen here, you. My mother is an upstanding member of the community. She does a lot for charity. She's a former educator, which is really important because she's really shaping the future of our children, you know. I think that deserves a bit of respect from you, XX Snipes Elites 12, XX.
Mike is still on.
Oh.
Quite a day, isn't it?
Sure.
What a country. I'm working on a project. Photography.
Yeah, I guess that bit.
Of course.
Red Dead Redemption 2 is a beautiful game for sure, with a whole world of natural splendor for you to enjoy. There's always someone who ruins it. Thanks a lot, Pony Soprano. As such, it's natural that you'd want a photo mode so that you can capture some of the breathtaking vistas you come across, or maybe just to take pictures of Lenny to show people if you ever lose track of him in a bar again.
You know who my friend is?
I've no idea.
Most games would just add a photo mode and be done with it, but this is Red Dead Redemption 2, a game in which we remind you your horse's testicles will react realistically to the weather. They're going to go the extra mile. Even if that extra mile means that your character, a rough and tumble outlaw who spends most of his time sleeping outdoors, being shot at, or falling into rivers, is always carrying a primitive 1890s Kodak with him that requires being set up on a flimsy telescopic tripod if you want to take a selfie. Don't get me wrong, it makes for some lovely pictures. But I think collectively, we're capable of the suspension of disbelief required for a standalone photo mode, without having to imagine Arthur needing to box up his camera and send it off to the Kodak company by Pony Express every 100 photos to have it developed, as people used to have to do in the 1890s. Still, it does make for some fun photo ops, right Micah? Oh, that one's a keeper.
Who builds this shit?
The Resident Evil series is almost as well known for bizarre home security choices as it is for zombies. There's the Spencer Mansion from the original game with its age-based stained glass window / coloured spotlight lock system. The Raccoon City Police Department with its various statue puzzles. And the door in a house in Code Veronica that required you to play a creepy music box to open it. All of which seem like they would be pretty annoying in your actual home, where you live and just want to go to the bathroom without having to solve a sliding tile puzzle to unlock the door. Or your place of business, where you have to let visitors know that to get into your office, they'll need to collect 4 elemental crests and put them in the right order. Or else a flamethrower trap might go off, which, if we're honest, is probably going to lose you the Simmons account, which Ruth in sales would just love, wouldn't you, Ruth? But hey, it is a video game, and we've made our peace with the endearingly baroque security solutions in Resident Evil. Nevertheless, the makers of Resident Evil took it upon themselves to deliver an in-world explanation for this stuff in Resident Evil 7, in which you find yourself exploring the Baker family residence, a dilapidated yet grand plantation house in Louisiana. This particular dilapidated farmhouse contains locks that are controlled by you manipulating objects to cast shadows of certain shapes, something which I'm pretty sure A, doesn't exist, and B, never would because it's stupid. Rather than leave this all unexplained and mysterious, Capcom decided to explain why the house was so weird and full of puzzles. This took the form of an invoice for building work that you find in the attic later in the game. The invoice is for the shadow puzzle locks in question, and it turns out that the architectural firm behind them is Trevor and Chamberlain Construction. This tells us that the shadow locks were built by the same people who built the Spencer Mansion from the original Resident Evil game, and that the Baker family need to file their financial records more securely. There's a little bit of this in the Resident Evil 2 remake as well, with the chess piece puzzles in the sewer being explained away as a quirky eccentricity of a construction company that is absolutely obsessed with chess. So there you have it. All those weird locks and doors are just the result of deeply, deeply strange construction companies that keep getting lucrative high-profile work for some reason. I feel like now I understand less about Resident Evil, and construction companies, and chess.
Ms. Monroe, we have isolated your team members' life signs. They appear to be trapped in the tertiary power modulation chamber. Rescue them at any cost.
Acknowledged. Tertiary what?
In first-person shooter games, one of the things we've all collectively agreed to turn a blind eye to is how your character is able to carry pistols, shotguns, rifles, rocket launchers and chainsaws all at the same time without it slowing them down, ruining the line of their cool armour, or requiring a separate shopping trolley to keep them in. Some FPSs have decided this is a bit much and limit you to a realistic amount of weapons at any one time, like the Call of Duty series. One game, however, decided that it wanted you to have loads of weapons at once, and for there to be a semi-plausible in-universe explanation for how that was possible, no matter how convoluted. Luckily, that game was a Star Trek game, and if there's one thing Star Trek knows, it's semi-plausible in-universe explanations for things, no matter how convoluted. The game in question is Star Trek Voyager Elite Force. Elite Force is a sci-fi shooter in which you play as a Starfleet ensign battling Borg, Klingons and other alien races using weapons such as an arc welder, a personal photon torpedo launcher and the classic Star Trek phaser. Rather than have you lug all this around on your person, however, looking like some kind of one-man band made of guns instead of musical instruments, the game offered up a sci-fi explanation as to where your weapons were when you weren't using them. According to the game, your character has something called a, quote, transporter pattern buffer. This keeps all of your gear in a suspended transporter beam, like the ones used to beam characters on and off ships in the various TV shows. As such, whenever you switch weapons, what's actually happening is that the weapon you're currently using gets beamed back into the pattern buffer, and the one you want to use gets beamed into your hands. You can even hear a brief snippet of transporter noise whenever you switch weapons, just to underline what's going on.
Hold your fire.
So Elite Force is harnessing the awesome power of the Heisenberg compensator to do a matter energy conversion on your guns.
Monroe, over here.
Well, it was that or the shopping trolley. And where are you going to get one of those in space? Exactly.
Nate, be careful.
Come on. I always am. Ah! I did not see that!
Contrary to what video games would have you believe, getting shot isn't the sort of thing you can just shrug off if you go and crouch behind a wall for 10 seconds. It's one of the most common sights in gaming, however. Your entirely human, non-superpowered hero taking shots like a groom at a bachelor party and being totally fine seconds later, probably unlike a groom at a bachelor party. Obviously, this is necessary because big actiony shooting games where you die after being hit by a single bullet would be, how do you say, terrible and short. So most games just accept it as a part of being a shooter and move on, usually sideways, while firing 2 assault rifles at the same time. Not the Uncharted series, however, which decided that its wisecracking hero, Nathan Drake, was a human being, damn it, and would react to being shot like a human being, by dying. See, according to a developer on the series, when Nathan Drake is being shot at, he never actually takes bullet damage. The red damage indicator that starts creeping onto the screen really represents Nate's luck running out, so that he never actually gets hit by any bullets until the one that kills him. Which is pretty damn lucky. Probably the universe balancing out the fact that 70 to 80% of the objects he touches immediately fall apart. Unlucky train seat, you just got Nathan Draked.
I chose the impossible. I chose rapture.
One of the hardest illnesses to get better from is being dead. Very low recovery rate. And yet, it happens all the time in video games. You die and then respawn close to where you left off with a full complement of health ready to...
Somebody clean this mess up!
Okay, probably die again, if we're being honest. But it's an accepted part of gaming that respawning exists, because otherwise you die once and then the game would be over forever, which, I mean, no one tell the Dark Souls developers, it will give them ideas. One game which wanted a little more context for its respawns, however, was BioShock, which introduced the world to the concept of Vita chambers. These Art Deco phone booths act as resurrection points, so if you die in combat you'll pop out, back at full health and with a little Eve boost, at the most recent Vita chamber you passed.
I hope they make it quick.
In the fiction of the game, Vita chambers were developed by Ryan Industries and used plasmids reconstructed within a quantum field entanglement to bring people back to life. Hey, Star Trek, listen up, this is good stuff. That being said, even though there were Vita chambers all over the place in Rapture, the only people they're designed to work for is Andrew Ryan or someone with similar DNA to Andrew Ryan, aka you, which is a super dick move when you think about it.
A little lesson.
But then, I mean, so is building a huge objectivist city full of superpowered drug addicts at the bottom of the ocean. So it's on brand. Later on, you introduce Andrew Ryan to the business end of a 9-iron, and ironically, he doesn't immediately pop out of the nearest Vita chamber. This is because he deliberately deactivated it because he was trying to make a point about free will or golf. I wasn't really listening.
Obey!
But hey, certainly helped us out a lot. Thanks, man. Oh yeah, Dead Forever. Man, that's gotta suck. You might say he's feeling below par?
Below par is good in golf.
I told you, I wasn't listening.
9S.
The commander's put me in charge of your maintenance, ma'am. That means I'll be performing regular checks on you from now on.
I see.
Oh, don't worry. We 9S models are the best around, you know. Though I suppose we're not exactly known for our modesty.
A heads-up display, or HUD, is the information on screen that tells you everything you need to know when playing a game. Like how much ammo you have left, or when you have a skill point you need to spend.
How are we ever gonna clean it up?
Oh, I'll do it in a minute! Most of the time this is just displayed as an overlay on the screen, but there have been games that tried to do something more immersive with their HUDs, such as guns with digital ammo indicators, or weird tattoos on your chest that show you how much health you have left.
Heavier than I thought.
Less common, that one. When it comes to explanations for why you have a bunch of useful info on your screen, however, 2017's Nier Automata really goes the extra mile, by having it all linked to a series of chips installed in your Android player character's robot brain. Taking a look through the plug-in chip system menu reveals that pretty much every element of your heads-up display is governed by a chip, from showing enemy health bars, to displaying the minimap, to displaying how much health you have left, to even showing you where you can save your game. It's all there because of a specific chip plugged into your Android's motherboard, and you can plug in or remove chips to customize this setup however you want. Just don't try taking out the one labeled OS. Believe us, it does not stand for original soundtrack.
Follow me, and do so without hesitation.
Show this fool knight what it is to have no fear. Go to God!
Games that are told in flashback present a unique problem for the developers of that game. How do you explain it when a character who is clearly still alive dies because of the idiot playing them, aka us? Most games either ignore this problem entirely or add in a bit of hand-waving dialogue where the character telling the story says something like, "Oh wait, it didn't happen like that," so the game can continue.
Wait. That's not how it happened. Now where was I?
Not the Assassin's Creed series, however, which applies the same amount of scientific rigor and accuracy to this problem as it does to the rest of its story. Which is to say, not much, but it sounds good. In the Assassin's Creed series, you're not actually playing as the assassin on the box. Rather, you are playing as one of their ancestors, or sometimes a white-collar office employee who is reliving that assassin's memories using a machine known as an animus.
Ready to get to work, Desmond?
As such, when the simulation, aka the game you're playing, says that legendary pirate and assassin ancestor Edward Kenway stacked it off the crow's nest and was eaten by a shark before he could father any children, the memory sequence you're playing will desynchronize because, of course, that's not what actually happened. Similarly, if Renaissance playboy assassin Ezio Auditore de Firenze just starts stabbing people in the street at random, the simulation will also desynchronize because no, he didn't do that either. When you think about it, this is a genius way of keeping players on the straight and narrow that makes total sense. Can't be bothered to skin the animals you kill? Connor definitely would have, so ready up the desync. Trying to sail out of bounds? Edward never went there, so here comes the D train. Also, I guess Altair never went in water? It's genetic memories, woo! Oh hey, is that a piece of Eden up there? Just...
Those were the things that probably games didn't really need to explain, but I'm going to explain a little thing about YouTube to you. If you enjoyed this video, it super helps us out if you watch some more. So up here we have a video from us about the most extra uses of magic in video games, and down here we've got a video from our sister channel Outside Extra about super annoying enemies that we will curse with our last breath. Please subscribe if you enjoyed this, and we'll see you next time.